Staged pathways reduce risk by pacing growth according to capability. Instead of committing immediately to full R2 certification, which demands extensive evidence, assessor coordination, and validated maturity scoring, organizations can start with E1 to establish foundational controls. From there, each level builds upon documented processes and existing evidence rather than reinventing them. This reduces project fatigue, budget overruns, and audit disruption. For instance, an E1 pilot covering a single system can reveal control gaps before scaling to enterprise scope. Early wins generate confidence and board support for continued investment. The R2 outcome then emerges naturally as the culmination of a sustained improvement program rather than a one-time compliance sprint. E1 readiness signals mark the transition from informal to documented control behavior. The E1 level focuses on essential safeguards, identity management, patching, backup, and incident procedures that prove basic security discipline. Readiness indicators include written policies, repeatable processes, and initial evidence such as access reviews or configuration baselines. Completing E1 demonstrates operational reliability and provides measurable proof to customers or regulators that security fundamentals are in place. It also trains teams in evidence management and assessor interaction. Once these routines feel normal, the organization is positioned to expand its scope and precision under I1, moving from compliance awareness to continuous control performance. The move to I1 requires visible maturity markers, process consistency, ownership accountability, and structured review cycles. At this level, organizations no longer rely solely on reactive evidence gathering. They operate according to defined cadence, monthly patch cycles, quarterly risk reviews, and formal change control. Documentation evolves from static policies into living procedures with traceable updates. For example, an I1-ready team can demonstrate that every new user account follows the same approval and deprovisioning workflow. These patterns prove that security is ingrained in operations. Transitioning to I1 signals the shift from proving compliance once to sustaining it continuously across people, process, and technology. Preparation for R2 revolves around factor accuracy, the correctness and completeness of data driving the assessment. R2 includes expanded inheritance, multiple control mappings, and maturity scoring across policy, process, implementation, measurement, and management. Errors in scoping or factor input can add months to review time. Preparation means verifying every factor, system counts, regulatory drivers, and control applicability before submission. For example, documenting precise boundaries for shared services ensures assessors apply the correct testing depth. At this stage, accuracy replaces speed as the critical success metric. A well-prepared R2 candidate enters assessment confident that every declared control matches operational reality. Resource planning across the pathway ensures each stage receives appropriate investment. E1 may require only a small team in short time frame, but E1 and R2 demand broader involvement from compliance, IT, and business leaders. Budgeting for assessor fees, tool upgrades, and staff training prevents surprise costs later. Planning also includes workload management, designating evidence owners and subject matter experts early. For example, assigning a compliance coordinator to maintain documentation repositories during E1 creates continuity through I1 and R2. Viewing resources as cumulative, not temporary, converts certification from episodic expense into strategic infrastructure. The evidence library grows in both size and sophistication along the pathway. E1 evidence focuses on simple proof of control existence. E2 expands to show ongoing operation. R2 requires formal validation, sampling, and linkage to maturity scoring. Maintaining evidence hygiene, consistent naming, date stamps, and traceability prevents chaos during reassessment. Automating evidence collection through compliance platforms or ticketing systems saves time and ensures version control. For instance, linking incident tickets automatically to control IDs creates reusable proof across assessments. A healthy evidence library turns audit preparation from reactive collection into steady maintenance, supporting continuous readiness. Timeline planning across 2 years provides realistic pacing. Many organizations complete E1 in months, spend the following year sustaining I1, and enter R2 in the second or third cycle. This progression allows time for remediation, training, and process refinement. Setting milestones, such as E1 certification by Q2, I1 validation by year-end, and R2 readiness next spring, keeps the program focused. Leadership visibility into this roadmap builds confidence that compliance goals are strategic, not improvised. R2 maturity emerges not from acceleration, but from rhythm, the steady cadence of planning, performing, and improving over successive audits. Renewal strategy maintains momentum between cycles. Certifications expire, but discipline should not. Scheduling internal reviews at mid-cycle intervals ensures that controls stay current and evidence remains fresh. Renewal planning also coordinates with external dependencies, such as vendor attestations or inherited cloud controls. For example, if a provider's SOC report renewal lags, that delay can affect R2 inheritance evidence. Aligning renewal calendars across entities avoids last-minute scrambles. Treating renewals as operational checkpoints keeps governance healthy and continuous, preserving credibility with assessors and stakeholders alike. Customer communication and stakeholder alignment strengthen trust throughout progression. Clients often ask when higher certifications will be achieved, and transparency about the pathway demonstrates foresight. Publishing a simple roadmap showing current E1 status, upcoming I1 goals, and target R2 timeline sets realistic expectations. Internally, keeping executives informed about resource needs and milestones ensures sustained sponsorship. Communication transforms certification from a technical initiative into an enterprise narrative of progress. When customers see deliberate movement toward R2, they interpret it as a sign of long-term reliability and risk awareness. Avoiding backsliding between stages means preserving process integrity after certification. Teams sometimes relax once an audit closes, allowing evidence gaps to reappear. Preventing regression requires embedding monitoring, training, and metrics into daily operations. Dashboards showing control completion rates or overdue reviews keep attention steady. Quarterly refreshes of documentation and access lists sustain readiness. Each cycle should begin not from zero, but from an improved baseline. Continuous improvement keeps organizations advancing even between audits, ensuring that maturity builds rather than resets. Decision gates and go conditions formalize advancement. Before pursuing I1 or R2, leadership should confirm readiness through internal audit results, resource validation, and risk assessment. Go decisions require tangible proof, consistent control performance for multiple months, complete evidence libraries, and clear scoping definitions. Skipping gates leads to rushed assessments and avoidable rework. Establishing go criteria converts progression into a governance process rather than an ad hoc decision. Each advancement then carries both confidence and accountability, signaling that the organization moves forward because it is ready, not because the calendar demands it. Deliberate pathway progression transforms certification from compliance theater into genuine maturity. The journey from E1 to I1 to R2 reflects steady evolution, each stage reinforcing habits of documentation, measurement, and verification. By treating every level as practice for the next, organizations reduce cost, increase predictability, and deepen resilience. The R2 certification becomes not a finish line, but a reflection of operational excellence achieved through planning and discipline. A thoughtful pathway delivers what assurance is meant to prove: consistency, accountability, and the capacity to sustain trust across every layer of governance.